Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TB Scouting MMA and
the Guru, back again from the wonderful Apex Arena. We've got UFC Vegas 94, Amanda Lemos taking on Virna Jandiroba in your strawweight main event. Unbelievable fight, just fantastic with a stellar co-main event of Brad Tavares taking on the Iron Turtle Jun Young Park. I mean, just can't miss television. So we brought in a can't miss guest. Make sure you're following him over on 4 Ounces to Freedom, over on YouTube, over on Twitter. He interviews a ton of awesome fighters, does a lot of hard work for the regionals that people just don't want to do, you know, the nitty gritty. Zach, what's good, brother? Good to see you. Long overdue having you on.
Finally on here for the greatest card in fucking UFC history. I know you guys looked at the card and were like, we need the fucking best guest for this card, and I guess Lou was busy, so you went with me.
I told you, for the 2 most handsome ladies in the UFC, we brought the most handsome guy on MMA Twitter to come help us out.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good one.
Look at them, yeah. Beautiful.
Listen, I think while the talent, you know, there could be some discrepancies. I was kind of judging, like you said, best card ever. Is it UFC 300? Is it Jandiroba versus Lemos? Having a tough time deciding, but what I do know is that we don't hold any punches here. We got the best guests on, and seriously, if you guys aren't following 4 Ounces of Freedom, this dude has been on a meteoric growth on YouTube, far surpassing our subscribership at this point, and doing actually awesome work, like really getting to know the fighters on the regional scene, because by the time they make it to the big stage, like, you know, now we know a little bit about them. And this is really great. Like, you got to support the up and coming guys in the business, because that's where the feeder system's going up to the UFC. Like, it's great. However, I mean, as Zach will probably tell you, CFFC and their copyright stuff and whatever, like some of the regional scenes, like they don't do the best job promoting their fighters, but that is where guys like Zach, 4 Ounces of Freedom, come in, making sure that the fighters get heard. They have voices. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. What's going on, Phantom Punch Breakdowns? Yeah, it is good to see Zach on here. Mr. Mendoza, what's going on? Appreciate you guys. Yeah.
I'd have to imagine Zach does a lot of thankless work. You know what I mean? The type of work that people, again, just are not necessarily appreciating. So make sure you guys are the type of people that are out there appreciating Zach, just like we are.
Awesome. Love to hear it, guys. Thank you so much.
And shout out to all you guys in the chat. YouTube only now, because X, apparently you need to pay for a check mark to be able to stream live there these days. So appreciate the YouTube audience. So here we are. We're getting after it. If you guys haven't thrown a like on the video, it's kind of messed up, but you can fix that right away. It costs you nothing. Throw a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on the countdown to 700. We're getting there. It should be fantastic. Let's get us to 1,000. Why not, right? We're always a good time.
Let's get cracking too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's get.
You got something if you got.
Yeah, if you got, you know what I'm saying. But all right, we got Amanda Favela Lemos versus Virna Jandiroba. Oh goodness. I mean, it's pretty binary, right? Like when you break it down, you got the plus 110 Lemos, minus 130 Virna. The over 2.5 minus 175, under 2.5 plus 135. Well, guess what? It's a 5-round main event, so they're projecting this thing to end inside the distance. And wouldn't you know it, Virna, high-level black belt, very good wrestling, jiu-jitsu, control, striking, the double knee wraps, so the athleticism, not the best. So there's definitely, you know, some real positives, some real drawbacks. Amanda Lemos, high-level athlete, fast twitch athlete, extremely high level striker, does a great job countering, also getting out on the front foot against lesser fighters on the feet, and just putting her pace on. So I think Lemos is one of those fighters that has, you know, fight changing power at the weight class, but it has been a little bit since we've seen her really find like one of those show stopping fast finishes, right? Like we're not seeing the Souza, the Montserrat Ruiz type of, you know, one punch shots here. But, you know, Marina, she does overwhelm her as the fight goes on. Michelle Waterson Gomez chokes her out as we get into round 2. And Mackenzie Dern, I mean, by God, I've seen other refs stop a fight on a knockdown like that, where, you know, they cover up, like, looks really bad, kind of one of those delayed reaction knockdowns. So isn't it Amandinha? It might be. I don't know. I thought Amanda Favela, like, it rolled off the tongue. You know, we were doing our
Just
best.
made one up. Terrible.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Guru. The
Horrible.
Gulu was much kinder about the nicknames, I might add. But
the Gulu was drunk as a skunk.
Yes, fair enough. But anyways, we got the Guru back in business. I love to see it. And I think it's Favela time here, because ultimately
it's never Favela time, because that's not a person.
But I think Amanda Lemos is going to be the far better athlete on the feet. I think she's going to do a better job of dictating where she wants this fight to take place. And she does a good job of using lateral movement versus Dern to avoid takedowns early. But as she starts getting overzealous, looking for the finish, really damaging Dern, yeah, she does start giving up some, you know, control, some takedowns, some potential submission looks. But I think Vina's got a worse chin, worse cardio, worse athlete than Mackenzie Dern. And she is smaller as well. Like, Dern has a bit more size. I'm going Lemos here, especially at the plus money, and who I think has a bit more finishing potential. Quite frankly, once Venus started facing, you know, some fighters that could, you know, defend chokes, she hasn't really been finding as many finishes. Whereas I think Lemos has kind of multiple paths there. It's just, you don't expect her to sub Virna. So plus money, Lemos, Guru, you propping it up?
What a crazy fight. I just think it's kind of tough, because I mean, it's basically what you said there, TB, with Virna and Dern there. If she's not as strong or as athletic as Mackenzie Dern, then I can't imagine her finding success. And it to your point, if that is your scale, we've already seen the Virna Mackenzie Dern fight play out. That fight played out in December of 2020. She lost that fight. That's one of her 3 losses in her career, right? And we look back even a little bit further, right? October 2021, she loses to Amanda Hebos. She's a plus 150 underdog, plus 140 underdog to Amanda Hebos in that fight. What's changed? She beat Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, and Lupita Godinez. Why? Like, what is it here that makes us think that she should be favored versus Amanda Lemos? I'm just kind of confused. And I think you're kind of seeing that with the line get closer and closer together. I didn't necessarily love Amanda Lemos getting held down versus Mackenzie Dern for the end of that first round, but I do think similarly that Virna's cardio will drain fairly quickly, especially as she continues to get damaged. I kind of like Amanda Lemos to find a finish here. I found a line over on Bet Rivers at plus 210 or plus 215. I just think at some point in within 5 rounds, if she's going to win the fight, she's going to find a finish. Otherwise, Virna's just going to lay on top of her for 25 minutes. I mean, it would just be the worst fight they could have ever possibly booked. Like, maybe worse than Almeida and Derek Lewis. Like, bad. So very interested to see what happens. I'll take the dog shot on Amanda Lemos. Mr. 4 ounces of freedom, Mr. Zach Attack. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I don't understand the lines on the morning, like on the straight bet here. Yeah, Virna's only lost 3 fights. Okay. Lemos has been around. She's kind of faced basically everyone that's still in the division for the most part. Went on her winning spree with the win over Miranda Granger, and has kind of just put on. I feel with the Mackenzie Dern fight, there was rumors that she had a really shitty weight cut and it just was not healthy coming into that actual fight itself. So to actually still come out of looking like shit in the first round and coming out and winning says a lot for her. As far as like the finish there, so easy direct pick, I'm going Lemos here. But as far as getting a finish, Virna, like, she has that special person strength where, like, you can't, like, finish her. So I don't see that happening. I do see her getting, like, fucked up from Lemos because Lemos can strike. But I think we're in for amazing 5 rounds of the greatest 2 women in the UFC. This is a spectacular Apex headliner, and we should all want to pay $1,000 to be VIP to see this one in person. So I would say Lemos by decision.
Yeah, I think that the cardio of Lemos probably does a little bit better over the course of the fight here. Vina typically slows down, especially if we expect her to get her grappling going, and if Lemos is able to stop the submission attempts, then I see Vina slowing down and Lemos landing more volume on the feet. It's just, yeah, it's a good question of if the finish happens or not, especially at a juice number for a strawweight fight. Like, I think that there could be some validity in like some fade the narrative type of idea of just playing some fight goes the distance, but I'm gonna just go with the Lemos side, especially at plus money.
I don't know if you like Lemos, I don't know how you can like the over. I just don't see, because if she's if she's on her way to winning a decision, she should be damaging her enough to get her out of there. So
yeah, you would think. So I like your idea. I don't think I'm trying to thread the needle that much. I'll go Lemos plus 112 is what I took on FanDuel. These are DraftKings lines.
Yeah, I'm hoping the small cage will help just the action in general.
Aussie. Oi. Let's go. Appreciate you joining the chat, my friend. If you guys haven't, come on, do the right thing. Throw a like. Show up in the live chat. Tell us who you got. What's your best bet? Tell us why we're wrong. I'm happy to hear it. All right, we're moving on. We got that Maui Wowie, Brad Tavares versus the Iron Turtle, Jung Park. Oh, baby. This is one of those matchups I'm having a really tough time on because there's multiple ways that it can play out. And the question is, how does it exactly? Like, if Brad Tavares is getting the distance striking that he wants to, then, this fight probably plays out closer than what the opener was. So I understand money coming in on the Tavares side, but for all of the talk of his anti-wrestling, takedown defense, like we do see Gregory Rodriguez have a little bit of success with that. And I think Jung Park has a little bit more process as an offensive wrestler. And I think that the wear and tear as far as the overall mileage on Brad Tavares at this point, it's something that gives me pause when I say like, oh, he's going to be the same guy that he was. Like all these stats that we're looking at, this is a large career's worth of what's been going on. If you look at more recently, I think that there is a better chance that Park could have some level of clinch, wrestling, top control success. I don't think he necessarily finds a submission or anything, but I mean, I lean towards him as the favorite. I'm not trying to play minus 162 to find out. And the over 2.5 is juiced to the point where, by God, like I'm probably not trying to lay the juice on that either. So at this moment, I probably pass. If you're on the Tavares side, I get laying the money line, but I mean, if you have to get a play on this fight, I'd lean towards like a Jung Park. And if you do the over 4.5 minutes, I think that there's going to be enough to get that to plus money. And also, you probably get a close enough striking battle round one where you maybe get Park dipping to plus money number live. I won't be around to find out. I'm going to be taking care of some stuff during the day, not necessarily fully locked into these fights live. So I can't rely on the live betting options. So my play will end up being Park plus and over to find some sort of plus money at a very small exposure.
Yeah, I'm not super a fan of it. Brad Tavares, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned the wrestling of Gregory Rodriguez, but Gregory Rodriguez is a much better, much more frequent wrestler than Jung Park. And if you don't think so, then that's fine. We can agree to disagree there. I certainly think his ground game is better than Jung Park's. You look at who Jung Park has finished in his little run there of 3 finish wins, and you've got Dennis Tululian, Albert Duraev, and Joseph Holmes. I mean, these are bottom of the barrel fighters here. You lose a close fight with Andre Muniz where you don't even land necessarily enough strikes or bait him off. And then, of course, you can't stuff any of the grappling at all. I thought he won that fight, certainly based on the letter of the law, right? Damage over control. He did win that fight, but doesn't grade our tickets, right? And now here we are. I just feel that Jung Park's calf is going to be right there to be absolutely smashed. And if we remember one of the only bright spots that we've seen from Brad Tavares lately was the way he beat the shit out of Chris Weidman's calves. So getting finished in the third round by Gregory Rodriguez is fine. The Bruno Silva loss, I don't love, but that was a fight you knew that both guys were going to stand there until somebody died. Bruno Silva's win condition is a round one finish. So I'm not shocked he got it there. And then going to a decision with the champ, Dricus du Plessis, you know, I can't hate on losing that fight. So I have a feeling this is Brad Tavares' last fight on his contract. I think this is UFC fight number 25 for him. So I just have a feeling that this is it if he doesn't get it done. And at plus money on a fight I think is going to go the distance, and so do the books, give me the underdog. What do you like?
Yeah,
Sam?
I'm going to have to disagree there, though. If you're getting finished by the likes of Bruno Silva, Edmund Shabazian, like you're probably heading the same way as like Joseph Holmes and going back to the regionals. I know, like, yeah, it's 25 fights in. He's been around. This is about where you would give Brad some like layup fight to kind of like show it. But then again, you also just gave him Chris Weidman coming off a massive leg injury where the entire game plan was just kick the fucking leg. Like Joseph Holmes could have probably beat Chris that night by kicking the leg. On the other hand, you kind of touched on the point too. Iron Turtle hasn't really beat anybody. I think he's just that fan favorite that everyone just is like happy because like he just looks like a guy who gets into like MMA fights. If he was in Mortal Kombat, like, he would be a character that would fit in. And everyone would just smile and pick him. Outside of that, again, doing no research as far as like betting lines on this one, I would go Iron Turtle submission or decision, that like double pick one. I'm assuming it's probably just barely a little bit better than the straight bet because like that's his two options there. He's not knocking out Brad Tavares. I would love to eat crow after that one just to kind of prove me wrong. But I think, either the play here is to go that double dip submission decision for Iron Turtle or kind of how TV said, just do this simple straight bet over 4.5 minutes, round 2 to start, however you want. The book wants to word it for you. You probably get that from minus 162 to at least even money, maybe a little over even money, depending on what book you're looking at. But yeah, I think this is Brad Tavares' last fight, kind of how you said too. And I think they're going to conveniently just forget to re-sign him.
Submissioner points for Jung Young Park is plus 105 on FanDuel.
Yeah,
At that point, like,
I mean, listen, if whatever you guys are saying, something has to give because Brad Tavares has never been submitted and Jung Young Park has never knocked anybody out in the UFC. So either Brad Tavares' chin is so bad he gets knocked out, or you're saying it's a club and sub, or it's going the distance. Because I think you go.
I basically think that ultimately, like Tavares, like Park hasn't shown himself to be like the biggest knockout finisher on the feet, but he has shown to outpace his opponents with the jab and staying busy. And I think that's probably enough. It's who he couldn't stay busy enough or on control enough to beat Andre Muniz, and he's choking out Duraev, Talulian, and Holmes. He wins a disgusting split decision versus Eric Anders, like disgusting toss up, could have gone either way. A disgusting majority decision versus Tafon and Chukwi, like, and zero fight IQ versus Gregory Rodriguez and dying. Like, I don't know. I just like there's just nothing there for me that makes me want to get behind him as a near 2-1 favorite. And a fight that I do not expect. Brad Tavares has never been subbed. I do not expect him to get a finish. This fight's going the distance. So you better be damn sure. Because I just think that
he doesn't hit harder. He like optically, his leg is going to be all jacked up. Brad's going to go after that shit early. This is going to be a good fight. As long as it lasts anyway.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. Mr. Mendoza, I would never recommend to pull out. So do your own thing.
Jesus Christ.
I believe in Brad. What's up, boys? Brad, round 2, round 3. That's
plus 1900. That's dangerous. See, that's dangerous. Spicy. I love it because where has Jung Young Park shown that he's like actually like has heart, like he's gonna fight through something. Choked out by Fluffy, killed by G-Rod. And the Muniz fight, like Muniz sucks. If you're not like, he sucks. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to him having won that Muniz fight. I'll
For
put it
sure.
that way.
No, he did win that. By the letter of the law, he won the fight because
Right, but
it's
like in your
Jandiroba
argument was like this huge rant about how losing that Muniz fight was like a really bad mark on him.
It's just not because he's not doing enough. He doesn't really do enough to separate or make it clear, which is what you want from somebody you're going to be on as a sizable favorite.
I get it. I mean, Muniz is huge, has really good black belt, and he was on
different skills. It's a totally different skill set. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think that those same issues are in play here in this fight. Like, we're not expecting Tavares to control Park, you know? He has
100%.
to have a striking fight from distance. The second Park takes us to any of the grappling realms, it's a clear advantage. So, I don't know. I get it. I get it from a price hunter perspective, but I do not agree with the guru, unfortunately. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. So here we are. We're moving on. We got the Mean Machine, or is it the Meme Machine? Steve Garcia, okay, versus Sang-Woo Choi, Sting, aka Bilbo Baggins' sword. So my question in this fight is like, who lands first? These guys are both going to come out swinging heavy. Do we get another beautiful, magical double knockdown like the Michael Trezano versus Sang-Woo Choi fight?
Dude, we saw that live. You know, we haven't had a double knock. We haven't had a double knockdown since, and we saw that shit live.
It's gold, Jerry, gold. Fucking Meme Machine is an electric nickname. Because honestly, that's how Steve Garcia fights. It's either something ugly's happening to him, or he's making something really disgusting happen to you. Like, if this fight goes the way of Yarno Aarons with the uppercut, it's not like, oh, I'm going to go sit on top and like control him like Yarno Aarons does. It's Steve Garcia is going to look to commit a murder in the octagon in the lovely UFC Apex. So ultimately I lean towards the Garcia side, but I think that playing anybody at a favorite in this type of fight is just danger waiting to happen. Under 1.5, like, what does this fight look like if we're getting to pass over 1.5? I don't really know. It's not the typical Steve Garcia vibe. But what I will say as well, finally, last point, is that if there was anyone that I expected to have any measure of control time, it's probably Steve Garcia. Like, he knew in the Ontiveros fight, like, things aren't going so hot. I should probably go for a takedown. And it worked out for him, right? So in this same matchup here, like, he's gonna have maybe a tiny bit of size, maybe a tiny bit of reach. But ultimately, I think the thing he can fall back on here is that I kind of like his top control and ground and pound, his scrambling a little bit better than I think I do Choi's. And I think Garcia's got a little bit more power. But they both have negative chins. They both knocked down opponents 5 times, and they've both been knocked down 5 times. So give me the double knockdown for absolute ultimate vibes.
Yeah, I mean, they may have been knocked down similar times, but one of them's been KO'd and finished way more than the other one has. Specifically, twice as more. That's not how I want to phrase that. Twice as much.
English is not the guru's strength.
No, it's not. But betting on Steve Garcia round 1, round 2 at plus 120, or better yet, round 1, round 2 KO at plus 160 certainly is. I do trust Steve Garcia's chin here against Sang-Woo Choi. I mean, trust is a tough word, right? I mean, obviously, knocked out by Maheshate is not ideal, but I think as long as he's got a safe cut here down to 145, he's going to have an advantage. He just beat Costa, Melky Costa at 155. Sang-Woo Choi is somebody that's brawling in his backyard with fucking Jarno Aarons and nearly dies twice. This guy's chin is just fucking horrendous. Mike Trezano killed him. Alex Caceres choked him out. I mean, it's just I just don't really see it here from Sang-Woo Choi. I think there's a reason why they're flying him all the way to Vegas, whereas Steve Garcia is coming straight from Winklejohn. So give me Steve Garcia round 1, round 2, plus 120, or KO plus 160. So what do you think, Zach?
Yeah. So this fight sucks. What I'm going to bring in basically a lot of like angles that I've been kind of winning with lately. Steve Garcia, you kind of mentioned it up at Albuquerque. Jackson Wink. I don't know what has changed from what Jackson Wink used to be to what it is now, but it seems like this is like your dojo at this point. Anyone can go train there. No one's coming out good anymore. I think the only people they care about is like Holly Holm, and are you really caring about Holly Holm in 2024? It's one of those like give her one or two more and let her just ride off in the sunset. But I also don't like Choi here at all. I was hoping, because I was actually trying to be cool and have the odd lines too. I would probably do like the Steve Garcia by knockout or Choi by decision prop, the real double dip. DraftKings doesn't have that up right now. They're usually like on there along with the finishing methods. Because that's just how I see it going. I think if it goes all 3 rounds, Choi's going to just do enough to get it. Where Steve Garcia is going to be your typical Jackson Wink fighter in the modern era and just kind of do enough to be in the fight. But I think if he doesn't find the chin, it's going to go to a decision, and Choi will have that there.
That's fair. I think, yeah, if this fight's going the distance, I probably trust Choi's overall like striking game a bit better. I get your point there. So yeah, the round 1, round 2 grouping really does make sense because I mean Garcia is going to come out frothing at the mouth, like absolute idiot mode.
He's quietly on a 3-fight win streak, all 3 by round 1, round 2 knockout, and he's won 4 of his 5 last fights, and he's won 5 of 7 of them by round 1, round 2. I mean, he's just a round 1, round 2 knockout kind of guy.
Right. He did get knocked down in the first round by Shah Ilan, and then Shah Ilan gassed in typical Shah Ilan fashion, and he kills him round 2 when they start back on the feet. Yep. Mel Costa, similar.
Mel Costa, yeah, beats the shit out of him, man.
No, Costa fucking dominates him round 1, and then round 2 comes out a little slower, and Garcia. Exactly. So to the point here is if yeah, it's got to be Garcia early or nothing.
And that's still that's still different than like the Chase Hooper fight where he just beats the shit out of him. Like Sungwoo Choi could absolutely look like Chase Hooper in this fight. Like it would not be surprising at all. He has no striking defense at all.
This is actually a good point here. This is kind of one of the things I was considering because we have multiple Chois. We got Mr. Lee, the Korean Tiger, Jung-Young Park. He's also Korean, right? Fight night. I mean, the card starts at 5 and then 8. Is this really like a watchable time out in Korea?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this like UFC Singapore without having to fly to Singapore?
But I think this was supposed to be Singapore, but there's that whole.
So it's 8:30 right now. So this is when the main event would be on. Whatever. It's 8 a.m. It's a 12-hour swap to Singapore. Okay. So a 5 p.m. card here is a 5 a.m. card there. I can't imagine that's to their benefit.
Reverse fighting nerds. That's so good. That is kind of funny. Talk about opposite of aura from a gym perspective at the moment. Although Steve Garcia is their shining prospect, to Guru's point. Lots of wins in a row here. All right, we're moving on to Kurt Miracle Holobaugh versus Kanan Bahia Khrushchevsky. You want to know why? Because it's like Kurt Russell. He's fucking the coach in Miracle. So it's Kurt Miracle Holobaugh because it's a miracle that he won tough and came back to the UFC because he's
such
so
a
bad.
hater. You're such a hater.
Oh, Kurt Holobaugh plus money. I need it. Go ahead. Tell him what you got, Guru.
I didn't say. Yo, you just never listen. I said that the fight is basically lined accurately here, plus 110, minus 1.
After I yelled at you for like an hour.
You just like to yell. That's on you. Honestly, I felt that, if you got Kurt Holobaugh at like plus 140 or something like that, like, you did your job, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's just like, I just don't really trust Kanyan Khrushchevsky at all.
Oh,
who is
Kanye?
this guy?
Kanye. I don't trust no Kanye Khrushchevsky.
Kanyan? Kanan Khrushchevsky. Yeah, that's a better name. Kanan.
Like, just say, like, you could even say, like, Coach K's last name if you wanted to, like, Krzyzewski, and no one will know the difference.
Khrushchevsky. But I got it. Khrushchevsky.
Yeah, there you go. Good. I'm proud of you.
All right. Yeah, Khrushchevsky here. I mean, both of his knockouts are on fights where he was at catch weight, 160 pounds. So, I understand that, maybe short notice and lack of preparation may have gone into, or even lack of shape may have gone into his finish losses. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change his style to me. And his style is he stands straight up, he marches forward, and his Muay Thai is decent, but like his overall kickboxing striking is not great. So, he's the younger guy. He's the better, probably faster and better athlete. So I can understand just being simple that he probably just wins a decision straight up. But I understand anybody taking Kurt. I feel like his boxing might honestly be better. Well, what I really like here is somehow the fight to go the distance is plus money. And I have no idea why. I don't really think that anybody's finishing anybody. Kurt is not going to finish Kutrusky unless, really, unless he club and sub type situation. And I just don't really see Hollowell getting submitted. Kutrusky's known for being a submission expert, and I just don't necessarily see it in this matchup. So give me the fight going the distance at plus money. Zach, TB.
So I mean, another fantastic fight for this card. I want to lean Kurt Holloway so badly in this fight, but it's one of those things. It's like I don't think he's gonna get a decision. I don't think he's gonna get the finish. So you remove the two ways to win. Like there's no path.
What does that even mean? I want to go with him.
like
because
there's no path. There's no path for him to win.
You can't fade shit with shit.
So like. Because, I mean, you look at Kanan, like, you got signed for beating Dylan Montello on Contender Series.
Terrible.
Like, I want to hide his fucking face behind me because he's that bad. Which probably he's going to be, I think he's on another CFFC card coming soon.
So I'll interview him.
It's one of those things like, what's the better looking piece of shit in this fight? It's Kanan. I don't think he finishes Kurt, so the fight goes the distance makes sense. Especially if you can get that a plus, like that makes. I'm guessing they're assuming a late finish because that's the only way logically it would make sense. Which, okay, Kurt.
They gave us the over 1.5 at -215. I just think the line is fucking weird. Like I don't understand why I can get fight going the distance at plus 126.
Because at that point, I wonder if they went to do the line at like 2 even. Which
2.5,
don't see for over.
Yeah, at minus on DraftKings. On FanDuel, over 2.5 is -104.
Yeah, and that Mantello KO that Melmano just mentioned. Who was it over? That's the big thing. Nate Williams is who it was over because it was this fight right here, and I think anyone in that division could probably knock out Nate. Nate's a great guy, but he's getting finished in the regional scene. That's why you'll never see him anywhere else. But yeah, I would go. I mean, maybe even mix those two. Like, I guess if you mix them together, I guess it would be Kanan by decision. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if he can submit Kurt. Maybe if he gets later, and that's where that whole line comes into play. Like maybe he finishes them in the third round. But then why are you making the over at 1.5? And at minus 130.
Hilariously enough, the cheapest prop you can buy on this fight is Kutrusky by decision at plus 290. So why is him by decision the cheapest prop if you don't even think the fight goes the distance?
Yeah, like see, now you're fucking with my mind though, because it's like, is this one of those like sports book traps where like that line just makes all the most sense, and then
no, because I think everybody's going to be taking juicy shit on finish. You can get Kutrusky by sub plus, and it's not, none of it's juicy. None of it's actually that juicy. Kutrusky by submission plus 500. Holloway by submission plus 750. The KOs are 410 and 390 apiece. Like they don't fucking know. They're like, take your pick. Good luck. Because it's going the distance.
Yeah, like I mean, maybe you play that smart play like Kanan by decision, or even just go to distance, and then maybe a small play on Kurt by knockout, just and hope he finds a chin Whereas
Would be hilarious.
Kanan's only been finished. I mean, Elvis Brenner got the left hook, but that was like a clean left hook. That was going to knock out pretty much anyone that got hit with it.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, if you're fighting with your hands down and your chin up in the air, then you're more prone to walking into those types of strikes, which is how he fights. And I really think, like, if you watch Kurt Holloway fight, like, if you can somehow manage your way through that Trey Ogden fight, like, there are moments on the feet where he's testing Trey Ogden. Like, the dude can box. So
is testing Trey Ogden like an accolade?
Yeah, I mean, no, not at all. No, but
Sure.
I just don't think Krzyzewski's really going to wrestle to some high propensity either. So it's like, well, how does this fight look? I just think that they spar back and forth for 15 minutes.
I mean, I think Kurt's just happy to be back in the UFC. So get half the paycheck, go home, be happy.
Austin Hubbard was his obstacle to returning, and he loses the first round handily until the last 20 seconds. I'm sorry. This guy also, Kanan, listen, TB Scouting love handles will tell you that Kanan Krzyzewski had some serious love handles going into the last fight. I mean, looked like in miserable shape.
You're not TB Scouting love handles. You're love handle scouting MMA. That's you. You can't even get your own nickname right.
But anyways, the moral of the story is Kanan he looks in phenomenal shape at the moment. He's been at Fighting Nerd since January. They're promoting him on their page, active stories during the interviews. This guy is with the right people in camp now. He's in good shape. And
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, it's the right choice. And you're getting a close enough line to where you don't have to be too cute. Just fucking play a unit or two on Kanan. I really think it's going to be the right option. Kurt is on the wrong side of the spectrum. Like, yeah, it's not that big of an age difference,
on the wrong
but
side of the spectrum.
Like the age spectrum, I should say, like 38 versus like the 33-year-old. You're talking about athletic prime versus like lucky to be back. So I don't care that he lost to XYZ while he was in the UFC. Like, the fact of the matter is he still doesn't have a good win.
But like, I just don't necessarily see value on him at minus 130. I do see value on the fight going the distance.
Yeah, I don't know. No way. It's going down even further. He's at minus 125 on Bet Online now. So
exactly, dude, he's not. Bruh, he's like,
the line moved against me on Charles Johnson. The line moved against me on Juicy J or Rosa.
I don't give a shit. The line. I'm talking about you sucking.
Oh, well, that's different.
Exactly.
Jeez. All right.
And we touched on that everyone last week being on Dober. Who did you guys pick? I didn't watch that.
I had a tough time. I was back and forth all week, and I said all the reasons why Silva could win, and I picked Dober. So oopsies.
I chimed in my own Chronic Combat chat here and said, I got Gene Silva. He's crazy. And on fight day, I went with Dober, thinking I was smart, and he was one of the only picks I got wrong.
Gene Silva's not dark skinned, so
that's hilarious and true. But also, I just felt that it was the fact that Gene Silva is fucking absolutely huge for featherweight, and he looked fine at lightweight, and he's just sick. Drew Dober just leaves his head out there, so that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got Cody Tyler Durden versus Bruno Bulldog Silva. This fight, I got
this is a good fight. This is probably one of the better fights on the card, and that's telling you something about this card.
Yeah, I feel like I got to be on the Silva side. Like, he's just a way cleaner striker. He's a better grappler. Cody can't help himself but be put in submissions against every solid grappler he's fought. And you know, the Tajir fight really told me something. And to Guru's point, what did you see in Bruno's grappling compared to Cody's, Guru?
About what?
See, he doesn't listen to me when I do breakdowns. I know.
Yeah, I heard you about the grappling.
No, you're the worst. The worst. How would you compare Cody Durden's grappling in that in his most recent matchup, like Tajir, Hadley, versus what Bruno Bulldog does typically?
Yeah, again, I'm not really sure how to answer your question, but what I will tell you is that when you look at who Bruno Silva has fought lately, he hasn't necessarily fought a ton of grapplers until you look back in the Tajir fight. And I honestly feel that Tajir is a much better grappler than Cody Durden. He's bigger and he's way more dangerous. And when you look at that fight, I mean, he wins round 3. I mean, he should have been. It was only on one judge's scorecard. One judge gave him round 1, which is whatever. But I mean, it was a close. Like, it was honestly a much closer fight than anybody would have thought, since he was a plus 400 underdog in that fight. But my point is that I feel like his takedown defense and his counter wrestling are honestly underrated, because they're somewhat, they haven't really been seen as much, because he just fought JP Buys, Victor Rodriguez, and Tyson Nam. But when you submit Tyson Nam, who's a 40-fight veteran and never been submitted before, and now since Tyson Nam has left the UFC, he's got 2 round 1 finishes. I'm just kind of impressed with that, and I feel like Cody Durden. Well, I know that Cody Durden, in all 3 of his UFC losses, has been submitted, and in majority of his losses, he's been submitted in general. So I just kind of like Bruno Silva at dog money, and then I also kind of like Bruno Silva to get the finish here. I also feel that he's the much better striker. So if this fight takes place at distance, he's in deep doo-doo.
Well, what you fail to mention, it is impressive that he submits Tyson Nam, but it's because he knocks him down first. That's even more impressive against a guy like Tyson Nam, who had a big reach advantage. Durden doesn't use it the same way. This isn't Charles Johnson level of like defensive takedown and grappling. So yeah, I think Durden, while like he's been able to kind of use his pace and takedown attempts and like empty top control and lack of damage to win decisions, I don't think that's the type of fight that he's going to get here versus Silva. But it's either Durden by decision or it's Silva inside the distance. I don't know what a Silva decision looks like, quite frankly. So what do you got here, Zach? Because I'm going to take a shot. I think that there's dog money out there on Silva. I'm going to have to touch it.
Yeah, I'm on Cody Durden just for the fact that I think he has talked enough shit that he has to kind of like showcase it now. And for our buddy, Best Fight Picks, he's also the former NFC champion. Like, how can you go against the former NFC champion? Like, I know Guru stays up late at night wondering who is the NFC champion when no one knows.
I don't have to stay up late. I would just message Dan Levy and he would go on about it for 6 hours. Shout out Best Fight Picks, my boy.
But joking aside, like, I just think Cody's gonna it's gonna be this fight should be fun, but it's gonna suck. This is gonna be a shitty fight where they're going to just basically sniff each other's jock for 15 minutes, and whoever sniffs the best is going to win the fight. And I think it's going to be Cody.
Wow. All right. So you like the NFC champ then?
I love the NFC champion. I love NFC and their shows that I think I may have watched once.
Nice.
Why don't you watch them more then?
Because I don't know what the fuck NFC really is.
ATL, shouty. Make sure you catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST. We're or EDT, whatever it is these days. Guru's going to be like, oh, but it's blah, blah, blah. I just did that to get a reaction out of you. So anyways, off with you. And then live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. That might be changing soon because the entire universe goes live on Wednesday around 7, 8 p.m. And TB's work schedule kind of changed. Guru's work schedule going to kind of change. But anyways, if you made it this far, what the hell are you not throwing a like on the video for? Come on. Don't screw around with us. You're here for the reason of loving the horrible nicknames of TB and loving the no sells or the shit talking that Guru brings to the table whenever TB brings a nickname to the table. It's a great time. It's banter. It's a conversation. There's chronic combat. You can do whatever you want over here. We're having a great time. If you're not like Mr. Meldmano and you haven't smashed the like, then I will smash you. So be careful. It's TB Arlovsky in the building. All right, we're moving on. We got the Korean Superman or Superboy, Doo-Ho Choi.
The Korean super grandpa.
Yeah, but what's going on here, buddy? It's like, who was it? The young Punisher? We said he had to
Pedro
Munoz.
Yeah. I said, because I'm actually funny with the nicknames, that he put his young on the line in his last fight, and he did not win it. So we will no longer refer to him as the young Punisher. He's just the Punisher now.
Nice. Versus Senor Perfecto, Bill Algeo. His not so perfecto record went out the window as from a knockout perspective because Gary Copeland just couldn't wait to stop that fight. Like when you watch
ridiculous.
He's like following him around, like, oh, do I stop it now?
You know what it was? What I think it was when I watched it. I tried to get into the mind of Gary Copeland. I think it was just happened to be his proximity to Bill the first time he got rocked, and he was just really close to it. And he's like, "Oh, he's almost dead," because it was right here. I don't know.
You couldn't let him get too close,
right? Yeah, I guess. So he just, but to your point, he was basically pre-coming the entire time after that, waiting to stop the fight. could not contain himself.
That's amazing. Poor Gary, premature ejaculation Copeland, but we got the Korean Superboy versus Senor Perfecto. Plus 140 for the Superboy Choi, minus 166 for Billy the Squid. My word, I just hate the idea of taking a guy like Algio at minus money
Billy
here.
The Squid. Billy the Squid is that's Bill. That's
I'm sorry, he's Billy the Kid. I'm sorry. I was just switching it up a little bit. I'm sorry. I wasn't so Senor Perfecto there. I'd like to apologize. But Mr. Duho Choi, I think that there's a couple of things that he brings to the table that Bill Algio just might not enjoy dealing with is my story here. And I think if Bill Algio is going to go ahead, push a wrestling pace, go for back takes and secure time there, then yeah, maybe he looks like he can cover his price solidly. I think Choi has definitely improved his general game plan in his time off, time away. He now has what?
Where?
What?
He improved his game plan? Where? Headbutting? That was part of the game plan? That was an improvement for you?
I really don't even think that was the most malicious thing that I've ever seen. I think Tanyoni had a directive. I'm gonna be honest, that shit was crazy. Anyways, Duho Choi, I think he's someone that has heavy crushing calf kicks and that he's got some solid speed and decent power. Now, Bill Algio has absolutely zero defense. He throws kicks with his hands down and he's kind of noodly, right? So my thought here is like Choi, there is a path for him from a damage, attrition, because Kyle Nelson, like when you watch the difference in the stand-up fight between Kyle Nelson and Bill Algio and Duho Choi and Kyle Nelson, it's two completely different fights because Kyle Nelson does not want to play with Choi from distance. Like his lead leg is compromised 2 minutes into the fight, and Choi is landing some big combos on the feet. And Nelson goes, you know what? Fuck this. We're wrestling today. And he has a solid amount of success, but at the same time, Choi is able to deal with like the power and the strength of a nice Canadian man like Kyle Nelson. But Algio, I feel like
Kyle is a nice Canadian man. Kyle's awesome.
He's a nice buff, trying to get back brownie points for us picking against him after interviewing him. Yeah, and I get it, but Kyle Nelson, he brings on the war. He really gets in the face of Algio and just does not respect his power for like even half a second, and is just going out of his way to wing bombs and make it ugly. I think Choi is a little bit more technical than that in his stand-up, and I think that he's going to have a chance to frustrate Algio if this fight plays out from distance with the calf kicks, like big time. That's something in his game that I definitely noticed an uptick in like his patience, right? He's not Superboy anymore. He's a Superman. All right. I could see it. He's matured a little bit.
I don't know that he's super about anything. My man hasn't gotten a win since Obama was in office.
Come on. He was serving. He had mandatory service or whatever. Like, come on. Poor guy.
He's had a bunch of fights since then, my brother. His fight has been inducted into the UFC since he's gotten a win.
All right. So
I'm sorry. Inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. That made no fucking sense. Right. Inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame.
Prime Cub Swanson. Then we're talking about Chor Jordan when we did at his prime of insanity, like the guy that you can't predict what he was going to do. And this was after he already lost to Swanson and Stevens. Then you have to fight a guy like Jordan that's got athleticism.
He's in his home country fighting against Jordan making his debut.
Yes, and he's being threatened that he's not going to get to fight anymore.
No, he wasn't.
We're going to take you for service, sir.
No, they weren't. He was still mid-service. They were letting him fight in Korea because
Oh, so you don't think that was an issue when he was not actively training and instead was in the army and took a break to take a fight in his home country? You think that was the best of circumstances going into the Jordan fight?
No, but you're still getting knocked out by Charles Jourdain and dropped.
Right. He got into a war is what happened. He knocked down Charles Jourdain himself as well.
I just hate you so much, but you're right. You got to take a dog shot here.
Or you don't have to play it. Like, I think that the over is overjuiced.
Wait a minute. You don't have to bet every single fight. I don't understand.
I know. It's Doo Ho Choi or pass for me. I think he's going to clearly land the more damage. I think this is the Korea card, apparently. So, bring it on. Let's have a fun time. And I think ultimately, I think for all the narrative points that you brought up, Guru, sure, there's a reason why Doo Ho Choi doesn't have a great line right now. But, Bill Algeo, man, I think that Doo Ho Choi has a similar level of wrestling as one fight before retirement, Ricardo Lamas at this point. We saw he's actually kind of solid from top control and working in, grappling sequences versus Kyle Nelson, who, we didn't get to see what happens with Bill as the fight plays out versus Kyle, but we got to see what happens with Doo Ho Choi, and I was actually kind of impressed with his patience and with his ability to reverse some bad scenarios that could have been worse against a really strong fighter. So
we have a guest.
Yeah, Zach, what do you got here as we fight with each other?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the fact that I fade Algeo in every single fight now. It's more so he trains at his gym, from what I understand. That's it. So he's his head coach. He's his game plan. It's all him. And when you are running your camp that way, you have a record like Bill Algeo where your best win is probably Herbert Burns basically dying from exhaustion. Where you contributed to it, but it was also probably the weight cut and everything else on the other side. I would just go. I'm even okay with just the plus 140, just going straight on Choi. If Algeo beats me, it beats me. It is what it is.
I think they're trying to give. If they even care about Ho Choi at all, you've got to give him a winnable fight. Otherwise, this is it. He's done after this.
Yeah. Who else is there? If he gets another fight after this with a loss, it's a Contender Series guy. Just starting his debut off of a name now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
TB, I guarantee you do not know who Doo Ho Choi got his last win against. Obviously you can pull up his name on Tapology, but I guarantee you don't know who that is.
Oh, it was that sick knockout. I saw it on Twitter this week. Brazilian guy.
Yeah, good job. You're the man.
Fair enough.
It was actually Brazilian guy. Good job.
Thiago Tavares, as I look it up.
Yeah. But
what's funny is I made a UFC 4 character. I'm not a longtime UFC follower, so I actually named my guy Thiago Tavares, thinking that I was unique and special, and then I realized
you did not.
I was stupid. Yeah, I did actually.
How could you make that? That's hilarious.
I don't know. It was I was oh, I'm gonna make my guy Brazilian, and Thiago Tavares sounds cool. My name starts with a T. It was a double alliteration.
So racist.
Yeah, big time.
You were racist even in your imagination as a kid.
Well, I made myself a heavyweight, so at least I was following reality when I made it for my own character.
Yeah, exactly.
No. When I made myself first, then I made another guy at middleweight, and that was Thiago Tavares.
That wasn't accurate.
All right. Anyways, we got the Korean Tiger, Jung Young Lee, versus Haider Amil, the Hurricane. Geez, man.
Here I am. Rocking like a hurricane.
Jung Young Lee, man, he's just the way better athlete here. Haider Amil has zero striking defense, and he's been taken down by plenty of people. And it's kind of like a cardio thing. I'm going to push a pace that's going to make you gas out and give me what I want over time. That's Haider Amil. It's Gilbert Melendez's prospect. This guy, it's not technical defensively. It's not super technical offensively. But at the end of the day, he's going to go crazy, and he's going to try to make it work. That's great against Admer Sanmez, who misses weight on Contender Series. That's great against Fernie. They made me move up weight Garcia because I pulled out of a different fight. And Fernie Garcia Guru was like, dude, did you actually rewatch that one? I was like, nah, it was Fernie. Fernie almost killed him 2 times. One by rear choke and one by knockdown. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Jung Young Lee is going to do that thing. And if not, he's going to damage him enough and be, I mean, look at the physique, man. Like, can we be honest about what's happening here? He's on the good stuff, okay? USADA's not around. Young Lee, that's why he has the knee sleeve. He's hiding, where he's doing stuff. But no, honestly, the dude's a crazy athlete. And I feel like he's also like solid technically. He doesn't throw crazy wild hooks. He uses his straight punches really well. He's got solid, like, I'm going to shoot for an underhook, but then if you go down too low, I'll use a couple elbows or, kind of like reverse some grappling scenarios in his own favor. So I really appreciate what Jung Young Lee was showing me on tape versus a guy like Blake Builder and Yijia. I mean, that was a fun fight. I know this guy can go the distance. Hyder Amil, I mean, I don't like his striking defense. I don't like the way that he deals with guys hitting him. And I feel like even though he's undefeated, this could be one of those spots where Lee finishes him. But then you're like, well, shit, like this is where I might get burned. Like you're talking about the undefeated guy, the guy that's never been finished, the guy with great cardio. Hyder, TB, Amil. I agree. Kind of. It's like whatever.
Why does everybody look like you? I don't understand.
I don't know. I've got generic, nice dark hair, a thick jawline. Nice dark hair.
Jaw. Yeah, what?
I don't know.
You gotta fix that.
I don't know. The only person that they've said that you look like is Uncle June. So I don't know, man.
You might have to get your eyes checked.
Uncle June,
anyways, stud, man. Uncle June was killing it.
And I had all the makings of a varsity athlete. TB, Tony Soprano, scouting MMA. Jung Young Lee here, the Korean Tiger. He's the one leg of a parlay because there's probably 2 people on this card that I feel fairly confident in, given they're at, like, he's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's going to be an inch taller. He's on all of Paulo Costa's secret juice. Like, I really like Lee in this spot. I feel like the line got even wider from where I played at, like minus 170 range. So, well, yeah. Oh yeah. And he's been training at Fight Ready. He's been in America for this camp. It's not like he's like flying over. So he really is going to be fighting close to where he's training. Levia finish. Yeah. Zombie loves this guy. Santino DeFranco loves this guy. What's not to love? So he'll be the second leg of a parlay. We'll get to the first leg coming up. Looks like fake CGI from Kung Fu Hustle. Yes. Like it legit, like that dude is definitely like he's radioactive if you were to go take his sample right now. Guru, what do you got to say for this, man?
I really like Lee here. I did feel like he was the much more special prospect. Hyder Mill is definitely hell on wheels, but I just feel like Lee is more functional and more technical and should get the job done. I was kind of originally leaning to the over, but we love our prospects that are undefeated to not get finished. But with the way that Hyder fights, it wouldn't exactly surprise me if he got finished. So with the line being as close as it is, I'm not as interested as I thought I would be. So I'm kind of more just interested in Lee as a parlay piece, like as we have him, and maybe even just taking a stab on him by finish in general.
Yeah, I had a feeling I was gonna be the only person on Hyder here, and it's more so just another one of those instant fades. A lot of the road to the UFC guys, like the actual UFC fight that they debut on, I tend to fade as they have just started because of the fact that records growing up over in Asia, you get padded a little bit. I mean, Lee was fighting like even percentage winners before he came into the UFC after the Giza fight, and then Blake Builder, who should have never been in the UFC. That's not a big win to me. So, like, if he wins, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think the play here is Hyder just for the fact that he's faced better competition in LFA than Lee has in his career.
I get it from a price perspective. I just think that it's the best answer here, as gross as it may feel. It's probably Lee. But I feel you on that. I can't hate it. And this might be one of those spots I regret. I've been having a good time betting some plus money numbers, and here I am back at the 2-leg parlay station. So see how it goes for TB in this area. But I'm feeling good here.
I feel good.
Brian Boom Kelleher, Cody the Renegade Gibson. Jeez, plus 164 on Boom, minus 198 on the Renegade.
Boom.
So
Boom.
I feel like Cody, what impressed me the most about how washed he looked against Miles Johns is that he was still able to get a back take and lock in a body triangle and nearly get a rear naked choke. It's just, Miles Johns, crazy athlete, huge explosion, gets out of the back take eventually and just doesn't have a neck that you can really submit. Brian Boom Kelleher, however, he's very happy to tap out to a rear naked. So I don't know. As much as I'm tempted from just you never bet Cody Gibson at minus 198, and that's not what I'm going to do. It's just the only thing to do is take each guy by submission and you're on a hope and a prayer. Boom, guillotine, Cody Gibson's been guillotine. Kelleher, rear naked choke by Cody. I've seen it. I've seen Cody in that position recently. So why not? I think that it's worth the flyer on either side. It's probably Cody. That's my official pick. But God damn it, I'm not betting him at minus 198. That's disgusting.
It's definitely Cody. I love Brian as a person. And he's been a fun fighter. But his whole experience and his whole experiment in the UFC is coming to a close. So this is the last fight on his contract. They will not be renewing it, and I'm sure that he knows that. He's got to find a way to close the distance here against a much rangier guy. I know that he did that versus somebody like Kevin Kroom, but that's Kevin fucking Kroom. Cody Gibson is much better and much more physical and much stronger than Kevin Kroom. So I absolutely think that Brian could be in some trouble. Brian has been finished in 3 fights in a row, I believe, in round 1. So, Cody Gibson, can he get off the schneid here in general and get a finish even, let alone the win? I think that's certainly interesting, and that's certainly where the money could be found on this fight. But not a fight that you want heavy exposure on. Like we said, we don't need to bet on every fight, but I do think that he is live to knock him out or submit him. Cody is, because I just don't really know what's left of Boom. He's a shell of who he was. He had that crazy spinal fusion surgery. So,
all right. So actually, I will say, the way that they talk. I mean, I see patients like this all the time, man. After a certain period, once the healing's done, you go through the PT. He's gonna lead a very normal life from that perspective. But at Aljamain Sterling, very similar procedure. It's the age and the mileage.
And 2 different levels of fucking athlete, my guy.
No, of course. So I get it. I'm just saying, I don't want it to sound like, oh, scary neck surgery. If you that's really not the biggest part of the handicap here. I think it's just where he's at in his career. I think the second fight back from it, he didn't look like a bad athlete out there. Cody Garbrandt's just way fucking better.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Melmano. If Miles John isn't even getting the finish, I just don't see Boom doing it. Not that Miles John finishes many people. It's just it's just not happening. Miles John's a much higher Miles Johns would dominate Brian Kelleher.
BetMGM, Brian Kelleher by guillotine, Cody Gibson by rear naked choke. I'm sure you could get some really fun odds. Zach, what are you going with here?
Yeah, I mean, this fight is obviously loser leaves town. I think they kind of kept Brian around because of that neck surgery, because it was discovered in a test for a fighter, an X-ray or so on, that they kind of felt not obligated, but it would have looked really shitty to be you have a spinal injury and you're cut from the UFC. He hasn't, they brought him back for the Cody fight, which is kind of a layup fight for both in a way, because they both needed to show something, and we got what we got out of it. I mean, it looked a nice spot for Cody, but
Boom did
it's not a big surprise what happened. Cody Gibson, the whole tough comeback season, yada yada yada, hasn't done shit since coming back. Here, though, I think Brian still fights worried with the surgery. Cody Gibson sub. I'd even go a little extra and do sub under 2 rounds. A same game parlay just to kind of really boost it a little bit. I think it ends late round 2, but I'd rather pad a little bit just in case.
Nice. Sounds like a fun time to me. We've got Miranda, Fear the Maverick, Dione, the Witch, Barbosa, filling in on short notice for one. Tracy, I got my eyelashes knocked off Cortez. So that's why she had to pull out of this fight. She got her eyelashes knocked off.
Tracy.
Not because she stepped into the Rose fight. Miranda, Fear the Maverick. I feel like there's a John McCain joke in there somewhere. I just can't quite fully get there. So use your imagination.
With what? With who?
The Maverick. John McCain.
There's a oh God.
Wasn't that his nickname, or am I crazy? I don't know.
Dude.
All right. Anyways, for the fight fans here, yeah, Miranda Maverick is the second leg of my parlay. With
our parlay.
My parlay. Damn it. I sent you it. Damn it.
No, you did not.
No, we built it together. So screw you. All right. So, anyways, yeah, we posted it already on Chronic Combat. Yeah, listen, I mean, we're gonna have a fun time. I think Barbosa's kind of round 1 or bust in this spot. She doesn't really put on the type of output and pressure that's gonna beat Maverick over a 3-round period. You're not finishing Miranda Maverick either. And if she does, like, good on you, Dione. Like, you couldn't do it to Karakate, but you can get it with Miranda Maverick. So that would be like one of those fluky ones.
What did you call her name?
Karashkate?
No, her actual name.
Dione?
Isn't it just Diane?
No, it's Dione Barbosa.
Dione.
She's fucking Brazilian. God damn it, Guru. All right. Physicality difference. Sure. I mean, it might work for a round. But Maverick's still got a bigger reach. So I think even in the grappling exchanges, it's not going to be as big a deal. And Barbosa, like, she doesn't really sell out for that type of game plan because she knows she doesn't have the gas for it. Like, I think she would have done more grappling in some of her other recent matchups if, like, she thought she could do it. And on short notice here, against someone like Maverick that's been preparing out of the Rose camp and, like, just looking, even, you want to talk about physicality and a specimen like Maverick. I mean, she's kind of jacked, bro. Like, I know she's kind of short.
Kind of jacked. She's extremely fucking jacked.
Right.
Her arms are fucking massive.
I'm sorry.
She's yoked. She's the next level of jack.
She's probably got bigger guns. Yeah, she's got way bigger muscles than I do.
So the thing with Dione, the thing with Dione is Dione. The thing with Dione, the thing with Dione is that her 3 submission wins in her career, all 3 are in round 1. Otherwise, she's won decisions against people that just are not. I mean, she has a decision win against Karine Silva, but again, that's like Karine Silva's first ever fight when she's like 20 years old. It's ridiculous. She's not beating Miranda Maverick here. Much more physical wrestler, better cardio, and much better striking. So Miranda's going to be strong enough to stop whatever bullshit Dione wants to do to get it to the ground, and she should piece her up on the feet or just lay on top of her and survive long enough to win a decision here.
Nice.
That's why we like her with Jung Lee.
Shout out Brave 2001. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before. I appreciate you making it here. That's a pretty sick falcon or whatever bird you got going on there. Is that a Carcara? But no, seriously, if you haven't subscribed yet,
is it not an eagle?
I'm messing.
Are you not an eagle fan? Is that not an eagle?
No, it probably was. I was joking around because of Virna Jandiroba's nickname.
No, you were not.
It is a hawk. I was right. Yes, let's go. I said, is that a... Yeah, that's what I said first. And then I said, or is it a Carcara? And then you said it's an eagle.
All right.
Once again, you're not listening to me. It's fine. It's not a problem because it didn't actually matter here. But Zach, did you go? Because we've just been arguing, I feel like.
No, I mean, this is obviously a layup for Miranda because it's, you lost Tracy. So Diane, whatever the fuck it is.
Dione.
She filled in a spot on Contender Series. Opponent was training for an entire different fight or fight style. She gets the win, gets to the UFC, has won the one decision thing, but she's not good. She shouldn't be in the UFC, which is weird to then relate to Miranda Maverick. She's gonna go to decision. She's not gonna finish Dion. And downside is it's one of those like I bet the decision line sucks also, just because that's how this fight's gonna happen. This is a parlay leg or skip as a whole because it's not even worth really doing any of the props on this one.
Amen. That's why we parlayed it. It was like her and Lee. Like at the end of the day, it's probably just the right answer, and I could see where the opponents might have a pathway. But damn, I want money on both these fights. I'm not going to be there live to catch the live line, so I got to do a little something before they start. All right, next fight: Loic the Tajik Tank Rajabov versus Trey Samurai Ogden. It used to be the Ghost Samurai, I think, and now he's just Samurai. Like, I'm not sure what's happening overall, but Trey Ogden, man, he's going to have a no-inch height advantage, but he will have a 4-inch reach advantage. And I think he's probably the smarter fighter who manages his gas tank a bit better. But Loic is going to have, I mean, we talked about Yang Lee's physique earlier. I mean, can we talk about Loic Rajabov's physique? This guy, the Tajik Tank, you know, he's got like pure uranium running through those veins. Now the Al-Sawadi fight, I mean, the guy's been knocked out.
Love handle scouting MMA. He's back.
He's back, baby. But the thing about Loic is like he actively is gassing out while fighting through it, basically at every level he's been at. Even with PFL, like back when they were like the drug fighting organization, like he was roided out of his mind. He was still kind of like gassing out, but fighting through it. Like I think Ogden is going to be the type of guy where he could consolidate top control if it gets there. Now it's going to be really hard to get there, but I also think like his range management and just like his fight IQ, I'm definitely impressed ever since, but we kind of have to talk about it ever since his debut against one Jordan Levitt. So it definitely leaves a little bit of like sketchiness in the mind overall about what type of guy he is. But I feel like since he kind of took over as like the head coach, and they've been coming up with some type of fantastic concoction over there because I mean, they're looking like Miles Johns has cardio now. Like there's some good stuff going on over at Glory MMA.
It's true.
So
it's
not
Glory MMA, it's Marathon MMA.
It's okay. I'm sorry. So instead of gambling scandals, there's going to be some drug scandals coming out at some point. Like Ignacio Bahamondes, I understand losing that one. Really rangy guy that actually does a decent job managing his distance, and you can't offer like a knockout threat. So Loic, I feel like his path is knockout here. I don't think he's racking up minutes on Trey.
Loic has no cardio, and Trey's never been knocked out. I mean, it just kind of, to me, just kind of comes down to that.
Yeah. So
like Trey's looked really, really good since becoming the head coach. Kind of like the Diego Lopez type to me that seemed to have made a step up to his game since becoming a head coach. And I just think he's going to give Loic a ton of trouble. Loic snatched victory out of the jaws of defeat versus Al-Sawadi in a fight he was supposed to be winning from the jump and just was like doing all he can to fucking lose it. Like he did not look good at all. So I absolutely think Trey can frustrate him in a similar fashion.
Well, so to Mr. Meldmano's point here, Loic has 5 career subs and Trey has 3 submission losses. So if this is just the tank getting what he wants here, could be interesting. Even a club
who's he submitted, man?
I can't give you the answer. I wasn't prepared. I was just bringing up a comment in the chat. So
I understand. I appreciate
maybe Mr. Meldmano can help us out with who Loic has gotten a submission on. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like Ogden probably can outpace a decision if he's not dying, like death. Zach?
Yeah. I was looking at the submissions and it's no one
good.
One of them's a north-south choke. Hilarious. I mean, listen, one's against one's against a 1 and 2 guy, one's an 8-0 guy, and one is a 11 and 3. So I mean, it depends. Is Sadu Ukar any good actually, or is he a fraudulent 11 and 3? You have to dig a little deeper. 20 and 7. Nah, he's not very good. He's okay.
For this one, I'm thinking Loic by decision, just because it's neither guy are really good. I think Trey can be good, I think, especially with how he's adding on being the more head coach over there since Krause can't do anything anymore. I think, yeah, Loic by decision, but I would also do a Trey by submission. I don't see Loic getting the submission, but I can see Trey getting it.
Nice. I like the Loic that you had there.
Loic.
Look, I should say.
Loic.
That Loic you had. Yeah, it's interesting. We took the Ogden money line, thinking line might be dancing other places, but currently figuring out, if that minus 110 is going to stay or what we'll do. Oopsies.
I mean, it's plus 100 in a lot of places.
A lot of places?
Yep.
I don't know. Like
Caesar,
cash outable places?
It's Bet365.
That's fair because we have the minus 110. It's just you're giving up a couple dollars to cash it out and then relaying it for the numbers. So it's like the end of the day, it's not like the Charles. So let me give you an example of the line I had no problem cashing out of. Like Charles Johnson, I saw the line was going crazy. I had a plus 162. I cashed out of it for a $2 loss to lay a plus 210 instead for the same amount. So I increased my cash out by like $20 extra in that case. Whereas in this case, I'm increasing my cash out by like $2 and I'm losing $2 on the cash out. So there's no real point to doing it for me right now. I just kind of messed it up a tiny bit. It is what it is. So Mr. Mendoza, this fight could be this week's chronic hedgehog bet. So I need to know. I need a little bit more of an explanation of this chronic hedgehog type of vibe. Like what's going on here?
What do we mean? We like hedgehogs like as an animal, but what do you mean exactly? Like Sonic the Hedgehog? Like what do we
like? So I looked it up and it's like Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's like, chronicked out, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, what does that mean from like a hedge? Like, are you talking about us hedging out? Or are you just saying
I don't think so.
That it's
I think
cool?
It's just I just think it's like a name of a title of a bet. Like we're making it a special. Like today's lunch special. Today's chronic hedgehog bet is like a segment.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. Please let us know, Mr. Mendoza.
Like Panda Bear Madness. It's Panda Bear Madness.
That makes me a sad panda. That I won't be able to bet Trey live after round one. So
those are two different South Park references. So.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. I've been dreading this fight. Luana Dread Carolina versus I Love a Lucy Purilova. That's a pretty fucking good nickname. Come on.
I love a
Lucy. Like I love Lucy, but in her last name it ends with Ilova. So it's I Love a Lucy. Oof. Yeah. The people love it, I know.
Zach didn't even smile, bro. Like nothing. He smiled now that I said that. Like you're like it's not funny. Like I guarantee
that one, it wasn't hitting, and you just kept trying.
Yeah, it's like Zach would love, I'm sure, to say, Greg, Guru, you are fucking it up. You are being mean to TV, but that just wasn't funny.
The whole point is to get a rise out of people. It's not necessarily even to give them fantastic nicknames. It's like we're going the dad joke angle. If you haven't figured that out by now, then
you're going the dad joke. Who's we? Who's this we?
Me.
You.
I have multiple personalities in charge of this show.
Exactly. we make dad jokes on this podcast. What are you talking about?
I am Jean Silva. I have many personalities to bring to the table.
Jean Silva is awesome. You are not so awesome.
We have similar levels of autism. Yeah, just a title for a fight that both sides are liked. So you take both on something. Okay, I guess. I don't know.
I still don't get it.
Yeah. What I did get was Luana Carolina at plus 105 on Caesars before the line flipped to minus 112. And then I'm also super confused. Like, is this fight at 125? Is it at 135? Like, what is happening here? And ultimately, it's Lucy. I Love a Lucy going down to 125 to meet Luana. I can't make weight Carolina. And I could just see her being like, fuck you. I'm going to hit 128 again for this matchup because I suspect you to try to wrestle me. Kiwi, yes, we did miss this negativity last week. The Gulu was way too positive for me. He was supporting my nicknames because you're an asshole. Come on. That's part of what we like here. You're mean to me. You don't listen to me. You're mean to me. That's part of the.
Listen.
It's part of the show.
Don't you get it? Da, 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 da.
No, I'm talking about the other points of the show where I try to set you up for something. You're like, what are you talking about? Or when I talk about something and then you say the same thing 10 minutes later because you weren't listening to me. It's okay. It's all right. It's all part of the show. So Luana Carolina here, plus money. I thought that was the move, but man, this fight sucks. This fight is terrible.
Yeah, it's not fun. You don't.
It's
want
wacky, wavy, inflatable arm lady versus Lucy Pudilova.
You can't have high exposure on a fight you expect to go to distance, and you don't expect anybody to do fucking anything. I think it's exactly how Zach gave the breakdown earlier for the Cody Dern and Bruno Silva fight, where it's whoever the fuck is just gonna get on top first. Whoever's gonna crotch sniff better here is gonna get it done, and that's I think how this one goes. So I took Luana at plus money, which is no longer available. So not very nice of me.
Yeah, plus money, it's worth it. Like, I don't want to bet either one of these as a favorite. The fight's gonna be fucking terrible. This fight is honestly just fully skippable. Like this should be open in the card so everyone can just tune in afterwards.
Yeah.
Loser probably gets fired. Winner probably gets one more just to finish the contract out. Dread by decision is probably the only way I would even consider playing this fight.
Do they often not let them finish out their contract? I feel like they always let them finish out their contract. They just don't re-sign them.
Contender series will usually go the full because they're cheap.
Because of the 4, yeah.
A direct signing, like if you're a 3-fight, 4-fight contract and you go 0-2, they can just forget you for the third fight at that point. It's usually like a short notice, and then they do like a layup fight for your second one. If you lose both, what are you doing?
Interesting.
You'll see with Mitch Raposa next time out because that kid fucking sucks.
Oh, poor Mitch. Yeah, he's not great.
Yeah. What was that judge thinking? Who was that guy? Terrible.
Oh, yeah, they gave him a round, right? That was terrible.
We made it. We made it to the point of the show. We've got the Kamaru Usman shirt in honor of Mo the Motor Usman Fight Week.
Good Lord.
This was a gift from the Guru at one point, right?
Yeah.
This was for my 30th birthday, right?
Oh, wow, yeah. I did do that, didn't I? I was a good friend.
Did. Yes, you were.
Took you to UFC 281.
You were a good friend. I will say that. That was the first event I'd ever been to.
Yeah, my second.
Yeah, so it was a great time. But this time we have Mo the Motor Usman opening up the card and not Kamaru Usman. So it's definitely a little bit of a drop off. Minus 135 on the Motor, plus 114 on Thomas the Train Peterson. I think what's disgusting in this fight is how short.
That's Peterson's a good nickname. I always give you that one.
That wasn't my nickname. That's his nickname.
That's hilarious. That's See, I can't even give it to you. His nickname is the Train because he really is autistic.
He tried to give me one. He tried to give me one. People, mark it down. It's the day.
I try. I try, but
that's
his That's his own nickname because he actually has the tism himself.
Just like me. Me. Mr. Muhammad here. I mean, huge reach advantage, huge size and athleticism advantage, and Mr. Peterson's going to have a hard time getting this fight to where he needs it to be to have success. Like Mo Usman, even if Peterson does close the distance, he's just going to turn him out in the clinch. Like, he's going to make it boring in the most motor way possible, and he's also going to land more volume from distance. He's got a big reach advantage. He's got a solid like the Jake Collier fight. Pretty solid. Like, he shows us volume. He shows us the ability to go 3 rounds with another guy that can throw strikes on all 3 levels. Now, it's not ideal. Like, ideally, you want to see him finish Jake Collier, but I also know that Mo the Motor, man, he's got that nickname for a reason. He's going the distance, baby. It's Mo the Motor Usman by decision over Mr. Peterson, but I had to go ahead and just take a short money line play. At the end of the day, if you're taking Peterson, you got to just do it like him to get an early finish. I see zero equity for him, like, as the fight plays out, because I just think Usman, having been there before and having done that, and just being the bigger, better athlete and a guy that I've seen win the boring fight. You know, Peterson, I think he's going to be very much submission reliant. or like ground and pound TKO reliant. I don't see how one he gets Usman there easily because the type of takedowns he's going to go for, I think Usman is strong enough and technical enough, which isn't saying much to kind of deal with. So yeah, it's disgusting, but I got like 1.25 to win one. And yeah, I mean, Usman does suck, but like, what do you got to say about Thomas T-Rex Arms Peterson? I mean, it's not great, right? Guru?
No, yeah, I honestly I really do like Muhammad Usman here. I mean, he's the much better athlete. He's bigger, he's stronger. I like the fact that I trust him to work behind his jab and then crash into the clinch and then hold him up against the cage. And while generally that's like a boring fight or something that you're not necessarily looking for. First off, I love rooting for overs and sloppy heavyweight fights, which is exactly what this is. And Thomas Peterson has shown himself in the past to be somebody very malleable to getting pushed up against the cage and controlled. So he's a control guy himself, and I just don't see him out wrestling a stronger Muhammad Usman. So give me Mo to get it done. I love the -130 money line there.
Here comes Zach. What do you got cooking here?
This fight is fucking atrocious. Before the fight even was being dissected, you kind of worried me there, TB, when you were covering the Ian part of Nigerian. Wasn't sure what you're trying to say with it. But like the shitty Usman versus Thomas Jefferson Peterson.
Yes.
That was his old nickname. That was shit.
Ordered when you're just fucking the guy
they called him the wrong name. On the contenders, right?
Thomas Jefferson Peterson. Yeah, he called him Thomas Jefferson.
Debut.
Yeah, he called him Thomas Jefferson. It was great.
Yeah, after the sub, right?
And I Usman by decision because I don't think he can finish anyone in the UFC, even Thomas Peterson. So yeah, by decision, it probably just makes it. I would assume it's probably just a little bit over plus money. That's the only way I would even hate myself enough to bet this.
Yeah, I have a lot of self-hate, so I bet Usman money line. Maybe it's the shirt, maybe it's Maybelline, but I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So, oh boy, we made it, guys. I gotta say, you guys are a bunch of savages somehow. We're racking up the views. We're racking up the likes. You guys are absolutely incredible. If you haven't thrown a like so far, doesn't take too much to do the right thing here. We'd really appreciate it. We're getting closer to 700 subscribers. It would be even better if you guys could get us over 1,000 somehow, but let's take it one step at a time, right? I think the most fun part is that we get to come out here, have an awesome conversation with everybody in the chat, our amazing guests like Mr. Zach, 4 Ounce to Freedom. If you guys aren't following him already, the link to his YouTube channel is in the description of the video, so make sure you go ahead, click that, give him a subscription. You're going to see all these guys before they fight on Contender Series interviewing with Zach because he's going to have caught them at some point on the regional. Like, he's just that dude. So really appreciate how he's been building up his channel and the content game and holding others accountable who are kind of up to some BS shenanigans out there. Hey, listen, you can bet as much as you want if you load your gambling account with a credit card, right? I'll just leave it at that because there's some clowns out there. So I hope you guys are betting what's responsible. Hope you guys are enjoying the fights on a week-to-week basis and being part of the conversation. So before we pass this off to the guru to do his thing, Zach, what do you got to say to the people here?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit it all. Original interviews, best up-and-coming fighters before they make it to Contender Series or the UFC. Few dropping soon. And outside of that, yeah, just follow, like, and on. Not Crazy Kevin. I'll say his name. You don't have to. I will.
Fair enough.
Don't be him.
I like that.
Guy's making some waves.
Yeah,
not all
he
a good
sucks,
one.
though. Yeah,
he definitely sucks. I don't like his personality. He seems like a little bit of a weirdo.
I agree with Mr. Meldmano. Great guest today. Hell yeah. Love it.
Zach, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you fighting the power outage and the blackout to come join us. Guys, thank you all so much for being here with us today. This was an awesome show. We are back next week to break down UFC 304. Leon Edwards taking on Bilal Muhammad. I know everybody loves Bilal and loves that fight, so can't wait to break that one down. yeah, guys, make sure you're following my unbelievable co-host, TB Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram, Tapology, Bet MMA, me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram Picket, Tapology, and Bet MMA. Guys, London, next week. That's a good one. See you there. Usually you're better timing with music. Not great.